welcome back. It's Maxine, your spiritual astrologer, teaching you how to learn astrology in a more empowering and soul-centered way. Now, if you're wondering what the lunar eclipse in Libra on March 25th, 2024, what that means for you, what the deeper spiritual messages are, what to be mindful of, what to avoid, what really you want to be going into this season reflecting on, focused on, for your soul's highest good, highest evolution, then that is what you're going to get out of today's episode. So at the start, we'll get into some of the astrology behind this eclipse, what that means for you, why this eclipse is so significant to the whole Aries-Libra cycle of eclipses. And then I'll get into the 5 key spiritual messages one by one. So these are intuitive messages related to the astrology, other transits too at this time. Essentially, this Libra eclipse, what do you want to really keep front of mind to navigate this eclipse season with ease? Really being mindful of how you're working with this energy and what you want to manifest, what you want to really co-create with this energy. That is what you're going to learn about here. So you'll listen to those with your intuition as I go through this. Perhaps all 5 of them resonate, maybe one really stands out, but these are so fun for me to share with you, and I hope you get a lot out of this. And if by the end of this you want even more insight, I do have my moon horoscopes that I send out every new and full moon. You could book a private reading with me if a lot's coming up for you at this time. So you can go to MaxineLuthia.com if you're interested in that. And of course, if you want to learn astrology with me, I have so many resources for you that you'll find there as well. Everything from my free downloadable astrology basics guide to joining spiritual astrology school, my really in-depth program. So it's all there for you, and I'll link it in the show notes too. Okay, so let's get into it. I want to first give you a rundown of what really makes this lunar eclipse in Libra, March 25th, so special. And then I'll get into those 5 key spiritual messages for you, but it's really helpful to get a context of what this eclipse is all about before we dive into it. So if you're curious about the astrology, it's important to know that eclipses are super powerful new and full moons. They happen about 6 months apart in intervals where they bring in these big changes, big realizations. It's a time where you're really being guided on your soul's path. If you feel like you've been a bit scattered or confused, or you want some insight, now is a great time to get that clarity, to tune in, to receive those downloads. It also can be a time where you're seeing more external, more obvious changes happening, maybe a big life event, something coming full circle, a relationship. So that's why eclipses are so powerful as these portals for change, for inviting in a new reality for yourself. They're really powerful for manifesting. I know there's a lot said about eclipses. Sometimes people are fearful of them, but that's very misguided. But just knowing it is a time to invite in realizations. It's not a time to act if you feel really scattered. Of course, let the dust settle, maybe acting after eclipse season. But eclipses really do offer you this opportunity to see things in a new light, to be able to really make some bigger changes if it's something you've been itching to do for a while. Eclipses can really help you to see what you've been working toward and what direction you want to go in next. And it's like the guiding hand of the universe really helping you to be on your soul's sacred path. So just a little bit about eclipses. They're really significant in astrology, and there's so much to say about them, but they're really beautiful to work with and be conscious of and co-create with them, because they can be such big portals for change, for growth in your soul's evolution. And then also, just to give you a time frame of this, so although we're talking about the March 25th Libra lunar eclipse, there's a bigger picture to it. This cycle of growth is happening actually over 2 years. So first of all, we're talking about eclipse season, March and April 2024. We have the Libra eclipse, March 25th, the Aries eclipse 2 weeks later, April 8th. But beyond that, seeing how this cycle of change began back on April 20th, 2023 with the first of these Aries Libra eclipses, and it's continuing all the way till March 29th, 2025. So eclipses build upon one another, and some eclipses are really obvious that you see how they manifested. Others are more, again, that inner shift. You're planting seeds that later come to fruition. So to keep that in mind, I know sometimes people get really anxious about that. I've already been getting questions about that. So just let yourself really remember that this is a gradual process of growth. Growth doesn't happen in a day. So give yourself time, and knowing that it's not just March 25th and it's done, or April 8th and it's done. You have more time. And then last thing to share at the start is that everyone feels the eclipses. So every eclipse, every new moon, every full moon, there is some insight for you. There is a soul message for you. So that is what I'm going to be sharing with these 5 spiritual messages. And you want to tune in at this time and see what messages, what clarity, what wisdom is coming through for you. Because they're really potent check-in points that way. And also, it's true that if you have, with this eclipse happening at 5 degrees of Libra, if you have any planets in Libra or Aries, then you might feel that this is a more significant eclipse for you. You might feel it more strongly. So especially if you have any planets close to the 5 degree mark, but just more broadly, check your chart. Do you have any planets in Aries and Libra? And to a lesser extent, Cancer or Capricorn, okay? So just something to keep in mind too. All right, so let's get into it. What are those 5 key spiritual messages for this lunar Libra eclipse on March 25th, 2024? So as I go through these, again, you're listening to see which one really jumps out to you, which one feels like it is your message, like I'm speaking to your soul here. So of course, all of these, feel free to take notes, see what comes up for you, but there might be one that really jumps out, and that is one to reflect on, to journal on, to see at this time, what do you need to really be mindful of? What change do you want to bring into this eclipse season and beyond? Where do you want to be on the other side of this? Because again, this is a time for insights, for getting that clarity. So your first spiritual message for this Libra lunar eclipse, March 25th, is allowing yourself to get clarity, to move from indecision into your soul's knowing. Now, why this is because we are having, as I mentioned at the start, there's this larger period of growth for you with these Aries Libra eclipses from, back in April 2023 to March 2025. And throughout this, there are 6 total eclipses in Aries and Libra across that axis in your birth chart, but only one of them, this one on March 25th, is a lunar eclipse, a full moon eclipse. The other 5 are all solar eclipses. So why this is so significant is that lunar eclipses are great for giving you clarity, for giving you perspective, for letting you see things more objectively or see them for what they are. So at this time, you might really notice that you're allowing yourself to get some distance in some situation, especially emotional distance. With this eclipse, there's a cluster of planets. If you look at the chart, there's all these planets from Aries to Taurus, aside from the moon, which is just hanging out, like they're all in a party, and the moon is opposite, just getting some breathing room. It's like it stepped outside of a party and it's just getting some fresh air. That is what you need to do this eclipse. You need to allow yourself to maybe just take some time to yourself, really take some space, whatever that looks like to you, whether it's just journaling, doing some ritual for yourself, going on a walk, taking an afternoon at a coffee shop, but taking some space for you to get clear on what is your truth. How do you really feel about some situation that's been really haunting you for a while now? This is a time to get clear on that in yourself. Now, this does not mean that you have to make your decision known by everyone at this time. It's more so just for you to get that piece of letting yourself explore what is it that you actually want. Because you may feel indecisive, but you might actually find at this time that you do know what you want. It's just that someone who really is important to you disagrees. So there's the people pleaser that's making you feel that you're indecisive, but actually you know what you want. It's just not what others want of you. And so being clear in yourself and learning to honor that at this time is really important. So you're able to, again, get that perspective, step outside of a situation that you felt really stuck in, and give yourself actually the permission to explore what it is that you want. That is the message. If that is ringing true for you, that is your message for this Libra lunar eclipse. And then spiritual message number 2 for this Libra eclipse is about compromise. How easy is it for you to compromise? How easy is it for you to assert yourself, what it is you want? Do you tend to compromise too much or too little? So this is something to reflect on if this message is really sparking something in you. We talked about in the first message how it is a time to get perspective, emotional distance, figure out what it is that you want, what your heart desires. But with this message, it's about you already know. You already know what it is that you want, what you need. And it's about communicating that and communicating that in a way that promotes harmony in some sense. So for this, it is about, on the one hand, if you tend to just default to this is what that person wants, so okay, that's what you're going to do, recognizing that is not true compromise. Compromise, in order for it to be compromised, there has to be a knowing of what both people want and meeting someplace in the middle, at least considering the other person's perspective. So maybe this is a time where you need to voice how you feel. Or perhaps if you're in the other boat and you really feel like you know how to assert yourself, but your relationships feel a bit off, you want to better understand them and their perspective, this could be a time where you're allowing yourself to really get curious, put yourself in the other's shoes, right? So instead of getting clear on what it is you want, allowing your relationships to have that back and forth swinging door is how I'm seeing it. So letting yourself invite in more compromise, but true compromise where both people feel like they have been honored in that relationship dynamic. And then message number 3 for this Libra eclipse, March 25th, is about your love life. More specifically, a more committed relationship, more long-term. And it's about finding more mutual respect and understanding. So if you are in a relationship, it might look like needing to let go of some bad habit that you've gotten into in the relationship, some kind of dynamic that you don't like, where you don't feel like you're being supportive of one another. There might be something that you need to, again, communicate, something surrounding compromise, how you really feel, something to be worked out in some way or brought into the open to be released. Okay, so that's part of it. You might also be really realizing what it is you want going forward in a relationship and if that relationship is going to be able to weather that. So that might be something that you're seriously considering at this time. Also, when it comes to if you're single but you're dating and you're wanting to find that person, that relationship, this is such an important time to do some cord cutting. So if you feel that you still feel held back by a past relationship or some trauma that you need to work through, this could be a time where you're really letting yourself see, okay, what needs to happen? How can you let go or heal something so that way you can really feel open and open your heart again for that relationship that you desire. No matter what, there's a need to approach love going forward with respect. For respect for the other, honoring that, but also respect for yourself, letting yourself be supported too. And especially with the ruling planet of this eclipse being Venus, the planet of love in Pisces, the romantic, there's a need to make sure that you are really clearing way to believe in love again, to believe in magic, and to make sure you're grounding that with, there's the sextile to Jupiter and Taurus, there's a need to make sure you're attracting the love you deserve, making sure that you're valuing yourself, and that's how you can really magnetize love with this eclipse. So going forward, believing in love again or rekindling the romance in your relationship. And then spiritual message number 4 for this Libra lunar eclipse is about really cultivating inner peace. So tuning out the noise, tuning out the comparison of others or what they're doing or people pleasing, what would they think, what do they want of you, what will it look like to others, how do they perceive you, just tuning that out. Easier said than done, but this eclipse is supporting you in that. If that has been something you want to work toward, this eclipse is really asking you to go within, to tune out the noise, to get really comfortable in your own skin, in who you are, building your confidence, knowing who you are separate from others. So that is really important with this eclipse. If this is ringing true for you, you might really recognize the ways in which you have been wasting energy trying to control things that are outside of your control. And so really more so focusing in this season of how you can create that inner sense of calm, of harmony, of tranquility, and leading with that, sharing that with the world, right? So that's a big piece to it. And at this time, maybe exploring different daily habits and practices, learning new things to help you, to support you in that inner sense of peace. Maybe you're wanting to practice meditation. Maybe you're wanting to learn a new skill that you haven't picked up before. Maybe reading really helps calm and ground you, or going on a daily walk outside, or wanting to find more work-life balance, just seeing how you can really focus on your inner peace in this new chapter. And then spiritual message number 5 for this Libra eclipse, March 25th, is lean into the discomfort. Lean into it. Push the edges of your comfort zone. Don't box yourself in just doing what is known or just having a dream and not pursuing it. There may be a sense that you have something that you really care about deeply, but you're not letting yourself take that practical step that you know would help get you closer. So letting yourself really lean into that, create a plan for yourself, get the support you need, be practical about it, pragmatic. What is it that will get you from point A to point B? And so this speaks a lot to the sextile with Venus to Jupiter and Taurus. It's really being okay, taking slow and steady steps to your goal. Also, Venus is conjunct Saturn at this time, so expecting it's okay if there's a delay. That doesn't mean that you're doomed. It doesn't mean that it's not meant to be. It just means that sometimes things take time, right? So really at this time, you might see that there's a need to really see how far you've gone, but also reassess and see, okay, are you in it for the long term? Because that's what kind of goals are being supported with this eclipse. And so if this message is speaking to you, if you have a goal, if you have a dream, something you're working toward, don't confuse discomfort or self-doubt or fear as reasons that you're doing something wrong or a reason to quit. Because if it matters to you, it's something at this time that you're being asked to really make sure that you are being really intentional going forward, that you're not letting the small things stop you. And it's also important that you get support at this time, that you set yourself up for success too, and you do the practical legwork to make your dream become a reality. And, you know, with the discomfort piece, it's actually something I talk about inside of Spiritual Astrology School at the start, because when you're learning so much, as in-depth as we get inside of SAS, there's a need to make sure that you are welcoming the discomfort, that you're seeing, oh, you're expanding, you're learning, you're growing. That's a good sign in your journey. You know, so just keeping in mind wherever you're at, whatever your goal is, yes, there might very well be some discomfort, but that doesn't mean that you're not up for the task. You are more than capable of what it is you desire. You just have to put in the work. And that's what this eclipse is asking for you to really recognize. So those are the 5 spiritual messages for the Libra lunar eclipse on March 25th, 2024. Which one resonated for you? I would love to know. If you want to comment 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 below if you're over here on YouTube, or feel free to share more too. Even if you're listening to this and something's already manifested for you, or you're listening back to this and you want to share your experience, feel free to share in the comments. So I hope this was helpful in just feeling a bit more grounded going into this Libra lunar eclipse on March 25th and being more intentional, knowing how to co-create with these energies for change. And of course, if you want to know about the upcoming solar eclipse on April 8th in Aries, make sure you are subscribed so you get notified when that comes out. And yeah, if you want to get more info on this, of course, sign up for my AstroMail for the moon horoscopes. You can book a reading with me, or if you want to learn more astrology, I do have Spiritual Astrology School, my in-depth program to read astrology charts in a really soul-centered way, or I have a whole bunch of other resources for you too on my website. So you can go to MaxineLuthia.com for that, or if you want to reach out to me on Instagram and connect there, would love to hear from you. Thanks so much for listening to the end. It means so much to me, as always, just to be a part of your journey in some way, for you to be here. Thank you. And until next time, hope you have a magical, beautiful start to eclipse season, and see you next time. Take care.